What's happening? I asked, glancing around. My in-laws had smug smiles, like they'd set this up. Finally, one of them spoke, sounding pleased. We need to talk. I took a deep breath, staying calm. Go ahead, I said. My husband, Daniel, sighed and avoided my eyes. I sold the house to my parents, he admitted. Then, after a pause, he added, and I think we should get a divorce. His parents exchanged satisfied looks, as if they'd won a game. Without hesitating, I pulled out signed divorce papers, placed my wedding ring on the table, and said, then I guess I'm leaving. They had no idea what was coming next. My name is Sophia, and I just turned 50. I was married for many years, and our son is now grown and independent. I used to work in an office, but thanks to a friend, I now teach people how to make handmade jewelry, a passion that became my job. This work makes me happy, even if some people don't see it as a real career. Daniel and I met at work and fell in love. We got married and raised a great son who's now doing well in life. But over time, Daniel changed. He stopped being kind and treated me like a servant. He'd snap over little things and put me down more often. I wanted to leave, but I felt trapped because of our mortgage. To make things worse, Daniel suddenly quit his job for no reason and just lounged at home, leaving me to handle everything. I paid for the house renovations, saving up bit by bit. It was my dream home, designed just how I wanted, especially the big, beautiful kitchen. Even though Daniel had some say in the plans, I paid for all of it. This house wasn't just walls and floors, it was my effort, my dreams. And now, he'd sold it behind my back. Building the house ended up costing way more than we planned, so we had to take out a bigger loan. Taking on that much debt in our 50s was scary, but we were so excited about our dream home that we thought it was worth it. But Daniel wasn't happy. He pouted because the house didn't look how he wanted. This is stupid, just burning money, he'd complain. I ignored his whining and focused on finishing the house. Over time, he stopped talking to me altogether, acting like a spoiled kid to get under my skin. I kept asking myself, how much longer will this go on? Then one day, months after we moved in, the doorbell rang. Before I could answer, Daniel jumped up, like he was expecting someone. Seconds later, I heard loud laughs in the hallway. When the living room door swung open, my stomach dropped. There stood my in-laws, Robert and Evelyn. They'd never liked me. When Daniel and I got married, they treated me like dirt because I wasn't good enough. Even at our wedding, they glared like I was a stray dog. Years later, they still meddled in our lives, always putting me on edge. Now they stood in my house, uninvited. I forced a polite hello, but they walked right past me, Evelyn even shoving my shoulder. They stared at the walls, the floors, judging everything. This kitchen is incredible, Evelyn said, sounding surprised. Daniel puffed out his chest, giving them a proud tour. By the time they left, they looked too pleased. Then Daniel spun toward me, his face dark. Make them tea and snacks, now. My hands shook as I rushed to throw something together, but Robert just frowned at the tray. This is it? As they ate, Evelyn raved about the house. Just beautiful, she said, barely touching the food. Then Daniel dropped the bomb, smiling like it was nothing. You should move in with us. My fork clattered onto my plate. He hadn't even asked me. His parents exchanged smug looks as they left. Daniel laughed and chatted with them at the door, like I wasn't even there. That was the happiest I'd seen him in years. After that, Robert and Evelyn infested our home, first once a month, then weekly, then daily. They nitpicked everything I did, and Daniel let them. Worse, he started blaming me for their rudeness. You're so selfish, he'd snap. You made our son's life harder. Even when I wasn't home, they'd invade. I'd come back to beer cans everywhere, stains on the new rug, the whole house reeking of liquor. No matter how much I begged Daniel to stop them, the mess kept growing. Then I found the betting slips. Daniel hadn't worked in months, but he'd somehow found money to gamble. One night, I confronted him. You're throwing away everything I earn. He just shrugged. Relax, it's nothing. A month later, I came home early. I smirked and crossed my arms. Wow, what a shock. You only show up when I'm gone. Ignoring me, Robert and Evelyn strolled in like they were the owners. Daniel greeted them with a grin, giving them a full tour of my house. They examined every corner, like they were inspecting it. When they left, they looked way too satisfied. What was that about? I asked Daniel. He shrugged. Not your concern. That's when I knew he was hiding something, so I waited and watched. Then one evening, I came home to a massive moving truck parked outside, moving center plastered on the side. Daniel was whispering to the movers, but when he spotted me, he bolted inside. At the same time, Robert and Evelyn pulled up, giving me fake smiles before Daniel ushered them in. The air was thick with tension. I stepped inside, and froze. Our furniture was gone. In its place, their old, worn-out stuff, like they'd moved in already. I sank onto their scratchy couch, and all three of them smirked at me. "We need to talk," Robert announced. I stayed calm. "Go ahead." Daniel avoided my eyes. "I sold the house to my parents." A pause, "And we're getting a divorce." His parents nodded, smug as ever. But I just laughed. Without a word, I pulled out signed divorce papers, slid off my wedding ring, and dropped it on the table. "Guess I'm leaving, then." They had no idea what was coming. Because I'd been prepared. Months ago, I'd installed hidden cameras, and caught them gloating about stealing the house. So I made my own move. I secretly transferred the mortgage into Daniel's name only. Now, they owed $1,900 a month. Good luck paying that with no jobs. I moved into my new place, quiet, clean, and mine. The reckoning. A few days later, my doorbell rang at 7 a.m. I opened it to Daniel and his parents, red-faced and shaking. "You changed the loan," Daniel screamed, shoving papers at me. I leaned against the doorframe. "Yep, you wanted the house? You got the bills too." Robert's jaw dropped. "We're broke. How are we supposed to?" "Not my problem," I said sweetly. "Miss a payment? The bank will come for you." Daniel frantically checked his phone, then turned gray. Evelyn whimpered. "What do we do?" I smiled. "Get jobs? Sell the house? Not my circus. Not my monkeys." Turns out, Daniel had gambling debts, his parents had no savings, and none of them had worked in years. They begged, "Please, we're family." "You ended that," I said, and slammed the door. They even called the cops, who kicked them off my property. In the end, they slunk off to a tiny apartment on the outskirts of town. Daniel took a part-time gig at a warehouse, barely scraping by. Meanwhile, I thrived. My handmade jewelry blog blew up. I got invited to teach workshops. For the first time in decades, I was happy. One day, I found an old notebook from my early marriage, pages filled with budgets and worries. I smiled. I'd built my own happiness, and that was the best revenge.